I represent the second chapter of our pink book, and this chapter is entitled this separation of different violent topics, and it describes those cases of human rights violation. Chapter of how can we tackle them and how can we work with them. This chapter is entitled separation of different violent topics, and it describes those cases of human rights violation. Is the one how that I recommend to the health ministry as well as to the interiors department, so they can collaborate with us following the guidelines of this book in order to fight. One of the chapters of the books is the one that I recommend to the health ministry. Let's say that someone is paying a credit or it's paying for a mortgage credit, or someone else is at the hospital, or let's say that a colleague to fight sick and they are helping them. Problems against for all those sex workers that happen. Let's say that someone is paying a credit or it's paying for a mortgage credit, or someone else is at the hospital, or let's say that if they find any problem with police, they are helping them. If they are getting extorted and they are not allowing them to go to the hospital, you can call us and we can help you. Do you want to be strong? If they find any problem with police officers, if they are getting extorted and they are not allowing them to go to the hospital, you can call us police officers as well as from the violence from customers. Do you want to be strong? Do you want to meet and gather with the people with whom you would like to speak about your problems? Do you want to get rid of extortion from police officers as well as from the violence from customers? Do you want to meet and gather with the people with whom you would like to speak about your problems without hiding anything? Do you want to have the support from, do you want to have the doctors and that they respect you, and to get together as sex workers and work together? We should help each other to have the support, and those were the magic words, the doctors and that they respect you, and to get together and work together as sex workers and together. We should help each other. Those were the magic words. And are you ready? Each pose represents a story. Karina. Beforehand, you know that you are going to take him the money. And am I a book or a door? No, you are the door. Are you ready? So, each why did you wear the other glove? You take the money Karina, with only one hand. So just move beforehand, you know. Side. Are you ready? Know that you are going to take him the money. And are you ready? Am I a book or a door? No, you are the door. So, why did you wear the other glove? Karina. Beforehand, you know. Sorry. Know that you are going to take him the money. And am I a book or a door? No, you are the door. So.
Ну вот мы показали вам сценку, которую мы сделали, и как мы ее.
So that was the play that we were able to perform. We show you what we did at the beginning and the steps that we follow, as well as all the stages and the final result. So thanks to the theater, to the director Olga Chitinia, as well as Oscar Portugov, who was the recorder. We are so grateful with them. We are so grateful for their support. It seems that there are some questions in the chat box. Let me read the question. They are asking us if we can speak about the impact or the influence of this video and display, if there was a change created within society. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to show this video to the whole of the community. Right now, we're just working a video session, having our faces covered, because we don't want us to. Well, we don't want to have the possibility of being identified. So the main objective that we want to show here is to call the attention of the government, the international organizations, as well as activists and the community of people who perform sex work. Is there any other additional question? We are ready to answer. Any more questions?
Если нет вопросов, тогда мы перейдем к следующей.
It seems that there are no more questions.
Это возможности использования данной формы в продвижении.
Let's move on to the next topic.
Секс-работников.
In this case, we want to speak about the possibility of using these techniques within the rest of the community. Oh, it seems that there is another question in the chat box.
И мы продолжим нашу сессию.
Let's wait a little bit until we translate this question, and then we will move on.
Как раз таки, значит, вопрос звучит следующим образом. Каково влияние на сообщество этой работы?
The question is, what was the impact of this work for the community?
Как мы,
And I think that my colleagues can answer this question.
Гордости секс-работников показывали это видео сообществу.
How on September 14, this is the day of the Pride Day of people who perform sex work. On that day, we were able to show this performance, and then later on we will let you know exactly what are the comments of this. Hello, my name is Aida.
Покажем наше видео с нашим театром, сообществу секс-работников.
So we have decided that it was a good idea to show this video for this small community of people who are involved in sex work. We decided to do so in such a way that this is like a kind of a performance. It's an action. And on September 14, the Pride Day for sex workers, we decided to do on that day. That day was really interesting for the members of the community. When they were able to see that scene where the police officers were there asking for money, that scene created a great impact on them. And later on, they were able to share their comments and their experiences, what they felt while they were watching this scene. There were several reactions. Some of them told us that they knew exactly about this notebook, and that before that they have seen it. So while during the meetings that we had in different events, they knew about this notebook, but for some others, this notebook was new. Some of them told us that they weren't aware of this SWIT notebook. And with regards of that notebook, created a great impact within the members of that community. Mainly that scene with police officers was very sensitive for them, because this is a daily experience. This is a reality for them. This is a situation that they face on a daily basis. And some of them said that they were ready to protect their own rights and that they were ready to fight for them. Some others mentioned that they were afraid, and that fear is there, fear against the police officers, because they know that they might not let them work and they might get violent. However, we were able to have a discussion, and in that sense, we were able to speak about being able to get together to fight about our own rights so we can stop these legal extortions. There were also some other proposals, proposals for changing the scenography. So each one of the members each one of the actors might have, like, let's say, a uniform, or so we can add some other elements so they understand exactly who is who in the play, so they can be identified as police officers. Now I will give the microphone to Svetlana. Hello, my name is Svetlana. I work at the Tais Plus organization. Most of the members of the community for sex workers wanted to continue this job and this performance with us. So they not only participated, not only they wanted to participate in this, but also they wanted to be part of the actors acting classes, because for them that was more easy for them to understand. Some of them, it is not easy for them if they just read the script. So in that sense, they said that it was easier for them if the members of the organizations, even if the members of these organizations were the actors for the play, that was a good element and a good characteristic, because in that sense they were able to speak. They were able to speak about how they can protect their own rights, what they can do in order to do so. So in the near future, they are looking for some funds and resources so they can perform a different play for each one of the chapters, to have a different play for each chapter in separate. And in that sense, they know that this play can have a great impact in the community of sex workers, for those who are speaking and what they can do together. And that also allows us to answer this question. After the play, we can offer several options, what they can do by themselves, what can we do together, and which chapter could be considered of a greater impact, or which one could be considered the most important. So where can we start? Now I will give the floor to Arthur. I would like to share my experience, our experience. My colleagues and I, the whole team, in September this year, we were able to be included within the monitoring session. Some of them were in the south of the country and some others were at the north. And so we joined to this organization that it's devoted to the monitoring aspects, and they work close and directly with those people who perform sex works. So within this experience of monitoring and together with the community, all this work started in 2016. That is to say that this is not the first time that we participated in these monitoring activities. So during the visits, we were able to share with our colleagues, we were able to share this video. That was the first time that they saw the video. We were able to perform and to show that video. We've been able to show this video within these monitoring sessions. All the colleagues were really surprised. They were positively surprised because, as I already mentioned, the video itself shows and speaks about and explains in a very easy language and understandable way all the chapters that are included in this notebook. My colleagues also had exchanged their opinions that they gather from sex workers, and they say that in the future, if we decide to do a different video, they gave a recommendation that all the actors should be uniform. So as you see, the play in this play, we were using the clothes that we were using, or the uniforms. We were using these black colored sweaters with different symbols, and those symbols represent the different chapters of the notebook. So our colleagues from the south gave us this advice or this recommendation that in the future, once that we do this type of videos, the idea was that we have our own uniforms, let's say our own uniform that give us the characteristics, and so we can be identified. We also got many positive comments saying that this type of videos give us the possibility to use it also in different activities, in different events, and to show it in the different elements and to the different organizations from the government or from others, and that this is a very powerful tool, so we can also include more activists as part of people who do sex work. Part of this video is also one of the elements that can be shown in all the events for those specific dates for these activities. So shortly we have described and we have shared this experience, how this video was originated, how it was created, and also the outcomes, the successes, and all the difficulties that we had faced. And this is just for everybody to know exactly how this idea was created and was shared. And in the meantime, we haven't been able to share openly this video because, as Sharmas was mentioned, we need to cover our faces. We need to take into consideration the security of all and the safety of all the participants in this video. So these are the positive comments and the suggestions that we receive for this video. These are the comments and the recommendations that we had received during these monitoring stages while we shared the video with our community members and colleagues. Thank you, Arthur. I would like to remind the participants about the confidentiality issues. We kindly ask you not to identify yourselves in the chat boxes, not to mention your full names, the names of the attendees or the organizers, just for safety reasons, just to be sure about confidentiality. So if there are more questions, please let us know. We are ready to answer your questions. Are there any more questions? Thank you very much. We see that attendees are learning a lot from us. That's great to know, because, well, it's not only for the members of our country, but for the rest of the world. Thank you for your comments. Are there any more questions? It seems that there are no more questions. Maybe later on. This session is not finished yet. So now we would like to share with you about the activities and the work that we do for theater aspects and all the plans that we have for the future. We want to share with you this new concept that we are developing, this theater concept that we are working with. We want to include this element part of our daily activities, as well as of part of the activities from our organization and the communities of sex workers. Within these theater activities, that will help us a lot for the organizations and the members of the communities get together and get more united, so we can support more the whole community. Now I will give the floor to Anela. Hello, my name is Anela. I would like to speak about this concept of theater. This is a method, a theatrical method that was developed by a Brazilian actor in the 1960s during this dictatorship period in Brazil. So this is a theatrical technique that allow the people to create a safe space for their better participation within the whole artistic process, so they can solve different problems for those who face oppression and injustice. So we do believe that this theatrical methodology can help us on our daily basis, on our daily activities, and it can also be useful for the community, because in that sense we can show any scene of all those who perform sex work, and then we can include it within these theatrical methodologies, and then we can portray our realities to the rest of the world. So in that sense, also with our own efforts, we can show and we can see exactly where we need more help, where do we need more support. So within this theatrical methodology, we can share and we can convey this knowledge on how we can change the society. In this sense, we can say that theater can allow us to build our own future rather than waiting or expecting. So why do we need this theater? Why do we need this methodology? This is a way so we can participate more actively, so we can protect our rights, so we can implement any changes within society, and also we can involve the members of the community so they can know exactly how to solve their own problems with their own strengths. This is also a positive impact within the group of all these artists. They can have these personal changes using these psychodrama techniques. So it is important to remember that these theatrical techniques try to solve very complex problems and very broad problems. So what are the results of these techniques? So this form is used successfully by different activists and different organizations all around the world, just to solve these contradictions and to speak about these social problems such as human rights violation, oppression, and many more. So these techniques had been used in Brazil and as well as in some other developing countries, just to implement and to apply these social and economic reforms to fight against violence and many more. Also, the military system or the military regime in Brazil was also faced thanks to all the activities from all the people involved, citizens and activists as in general, defending and protecting their own rights. So this technique consists on having moderators and the scenes, as well as the actors and the audience. That the audience itself participates within this discussion. So, in the first place that we showed, it was done. The first plays were done within this pheasants in Brazil, in these different towns. So they practice these dynamics, and it can be performed in different squares, in theaters, or in different events within the educative programs with regards of different topics. And anybody can be part of this. Anybody can be included as an actor. Within the first stage, we can say that the actors were these men, these common people that were not professional actors, were these farmers. And while they developed this script, it's important to consider that any part of these dramatic scenes is the conflict itself that they want to portray. So on a regular basis, these scenes show these conflictive aspects, and they don't show the solution of that conflict or the solution of the problem. What they are doing is making a call to try to solve this solution in the real life. So in that sense, involving the actors and involving the citizens, involving the participants within the play, the idea is to organize the whole process, the preparation process, to develop different collective exercises or different activities, so they can express more. So within this methodology, within this actor methodology, the maximum number of actors that can be there are four actors maximum. And also the length of the play is really short, because on a regular basis we have like the main actor, the ally, and then the antagonists. That's how the play is formed. Thank you very much, Anel. As we mentioned before, we want to grow more, we want to develop more, and we want to include this theatrical methodology in a higher level. So we would like to get resources so we can promote this oppressed theater. Because we want to show all these problems, including the whole community. So we start with one scene and then they continue and they offer the solution. And maybe not only one solution or one option, they can show many more. They can show several options. They can show how they can get rid of a difficult situation. They show different aspects, how they can solve it. Thank you very much. Is there anybody that would like to add something else? Yes, if it's possible, I would like to do so. My name is Olja Sachinina. I'm an actress and director of the Independent Theater, and I would like to conclude telling that theater exists in different forms with different directions, and many times we see or we have this image of the theater that is like a temple on where we see how life was before, and that it is not related with us and that is not about us. But in this case, the oppressed theater, as it has been developed, is a way of getting to know, and that promotes also the transformation of society. This is a kind of theater where we, as an audience, participate also within the whole process of the play. We get involved in the discussion of the topic, in the discussion that is portrayed by the actors. And on a regular basis, the actors do not have like this theatrical preparation or these theatrical foundations. The only idea is that they want to discuss these social and acute problems. They want to share, they want to speak about that. And actors are not saying, let's do this or that. No, we can hear two different opinions. We can listen to all the opinions for all the attendees to this theater, and we can include all different options or different solutions on the situation that is portrayed within the play. The idea is to share all those changes. This is an exchange of opinions. It is a way to get to know the knowledge and to communicate also. This is a way for us to get rid of these barriers. And in this case, when we are speaking about vulnerable populations, this type of place allows us to have good results. Because in that sense, people lose their fear to speak out loud, because they know that they have this support. They start opening themselves, and they start having this dialogue. And so this dialogue is raised from this play, and then this dialogue also expands and moves on to the different community, to the different aspects, to the to the households, to the offices, to their workplaces. And in that sense, we were able to develop these changes and these reforms. So they, for instance, with this support, they were analyzing if these solutions were able to be implemented, including all the legal aspects, social aspects. So this is a good way to do the monitoring and the testing, and also to explain the different important aspects that might be included. Thank you very much, Olcha. I would like to add something else. Theater has not only helped us within our daily activities, with all the things that we do, but also it has raised the level of knowledge. It has raised the level of knowledge for all the members of the organization. It has also raised their level of being able to speak in public, some of the members of the organization were afraid to speak out loud or to speak in front of many people. So during the classes that we got from Olcha, they were able to develop this skill. It was like these team building activities where when the members of the organization lose that fear to be in a public, in an open audience, they lose that fear, and now they can speak out loud about their own. So that's one of the directions that we can get from this theater experience. Maybe many people do not know exactly how it works, but it will be important to speak about that. Can we do that? Yes, of course. Let's see how we do it. Well, that means that not necessarily we're speaking about professional actors and actresses. On a regular basis, the play, the course lasts from 6 days up to different months. So we have the participation of all those that are interested in these social activities. They decide about the topic, and they are the ones who develop the script. They don't receive any help or any support from anybody else. They are the ones who speak about their own lives, experiences, and then we just develop this technique, this theatrical technique. So this is this group of actors, and then we have a moderator within the play, and then questions remain open. That's a great condition, because in that sense, the moderator might stop the play at a specific moment, and then they can ask openly to the audience: Have you suffered any type of discrimination? Have you felt vulnerable towards any situation? So in that sense, we jump over these barriers, and then we open the discussion. We also offer the possibility we give this possibility to the actors on, let's say, changing the situation. Let's say that there's a girl that is facing slavery, so they offer the option on how they can answer to that situation, how they can relate if they are facing this situation, how they can face it, and how they can speak it with their own parents. So in that sense, at the end, they remain out of the forum, and then they express the role of the oppressed. That's how they do it, and then afterwards, the audience offers the solution. It might be that the situation is solved or not, but and then we have like 1 hour discussion. We gather these collective solutions. The idea is to solve that conflict, and maybe some of the attendees in the audience, they might have more experience, let's say, with legal aspects, and they can give these advices. So that way, we can share the experience, and we also convey the knowledge. So thank you very much, Ulcha. There is another question. Do you think that the activities to adapt SWIT to theatrical form has impacted the strength of sex work organizations in Kyrgyzstan? And if so, how? Yet, we haven't assessed and we haven't evaluated the impact in the communities within the region. But what we can say is that our organization has felt that impact. We had several experiences on being able to gather with all sex workers in different areas of Kyrgyzstan, and they by themselves developed each one of the chapters and each one of the sections of the book, so they can show the topic to these NGOs as well as to the international organizations. At that time, we still didn't have this theater, but now we are really interested on including more organizations so they can do similar performances. And if we're speaking not only about people who are sex workers, but we are also trying to include members from other communities. I've already mentioned that we have here the presence of one of the members of another organization, and they are really interested in this proposal. Unfortunately, not everybody were able to meet in this session. Besides SWIT, there are other manuals such as Transit and many more, and they would also want to share and to see what is our experience, what we have done, so they can implement also that technique within their own practice. So we've seen that there is a positive impact. Are there more questions?
У нас есть еще время, и мы готовы ответить на ваши вопросы.
We still have time, so we're ready to answer your questions.
Похоже, у нас еще один, да, вопрос поступил.
It seems that there is another question.
Могу его скопировать.
But I cannot copy the question, I cannot see it.
Как вы планируете использовать
адвокации?
How do you plan to use the videos for your activities in the future? It seems that we have already mentioned that, but in general, from the beginning, we were planning just to do a video, and the idea was not only to show it for the community of sex work, but also to show it to the donors, to the international organizations, and to the governmental organizations that we work with. And of course, that we will use it for our activities with regards of human rights protection. So governmental organizations understand about the relevance and the importance that they have in our own activities. Unfortunately, nowadays we don't have the governmental funds for our programs, and if there are funds, it's just a little. So we would like to have more support from our own government, and not only speaking about resources, not only speaking about money, and as an exchange of that money, we are asking them to change the situation. No, we're not speaking about that. We're speaking about a collaboration. We are speaking about a partnership collaboration, so government understand exactly why they have to work with the community and not forcing them, not making it mandatory, not forcing to run this HIV tests or this monitoring, or not to make these medical assessments as mandatory. Those are the topics that we want to explain to them. We want to share with them the principle and the working activities that we would like to develop. And there's another question. If you let us know what is the situation faced with COVID-19, has it impacted your work? Well, that topic is not, that question is not related with the topic that we're showing right now, but we can say that unfortunately, yes, COVID-19 doesn't allow us to, or at least at the initial stages, or when we were facing this confinement or lockdown in our country, many people do not have the possibility of continue working or to earn money, or they weren't able to pay for their food or for their housing. So for us, for our organization, also we had some restrictions with regards of the access to our own community due to the lockdown. We were unable to reach the people who were in the lockdown due to quarantine. The only positive aspect within this COVID situation is that police officers, they stop molesting us. They stop bothering us. They were not doing this punishment or these extortions to those sex workers. But yes, we had faced some problems, and yet we are still facing those problems. Are there more questions?
Уважаемые участники, у нас еще есть достаточно времени, чтобы мы могли ответить на ваши вопросы.
So we still have time for your answers, your questions to be answered. How does your work have impacted us for COVID-19? Because it is expected that this situation might last more than 12 months, mainly considering that there won't be any vaccines or vaccines won't be available. So how will you adapt your activities facing this situation? Thank you, Olcha, for this question. If quarantine is to be implemented again due to this second wave of COVID, we will have the possibility to run the meetings and the tests only online. Everything will be done online. And it will be really complicated to keep on working face to face. Many times it is difficult to include these public officers in the meetings. So it is difficult. If it's not easy to include them in these physical meetings, then online it will be really difficult, because most of them are elderly people and they don't know how to use the technology. So now we're thinking about on different ways to do so. We are just organizing a 16-day campaign. We are planning to visit all the interested parties, such as the Labor and Social Protection Ministry. They are the ones in charge of developing the action plan as a governmental and country level. So we will try to discuss with them and to talk about the most important topics, the most painful issues for us. But due to the situation that we are facing, maybe you have seen the news and you are aware of what's going on right now. Right now, we don't have a president, we don't have a government, we don't have access to the government, and we don't know exactly how this situation is going to develop. We don't know exactly what is going on, what will happen, and how we can organize our events. And despite that, we also have the second wave of the COVID. We have seen how these COVID cases are increasing, and we are concerned that this lockdown will continue. Children are studying from their own houses, and they won't stop doing that. And of course, we will try to find out some other ways on how to work and keep on doing these activities. It seems that there is another question. I hope that I answer your questions, and if not, let me know. There is another question. What are the main recommendations that you can give if other organizations, including organizations from other key populations or from other communities, if they would like to do this type of performances, what should be done and what should be avoided? Well, first, it is important to do so. I mean, it is not a necessity. I don't know how to describe it, but this is amazing. This is something marvelous that can help everybody, that can help all the organizations. Unfortunately, resources are needed. So if the donors community is loyal to us, if they help us, that will be really grateful. But of course, well, funds had to be requested, and we need to keep on working, and we need to get these acting lessons so we can perform in many places more. What should be avoided? Well, just avoid being feared. Just take the first step. While we were studying, we were really afraid. There was a lot of fear within our own members of the community. We we feared that some of the members didn't accept this as something new. Sometimes it was difficult because they didn't understand exactly what was going on, what we were trying to convey, or what was, as Arthur was saying, why we were trying to do these sounds or these gestures while the play. But then after the second class, everybody was completely involved. That they didn't wanted to go back to their offices. They just wanted to do theater, and it would be nice also to say that for all these public videos, we should have like this possibility on showing the faces, but I don't know if we can do that. We need to think on the safety and the security of all the members of all the actors. Not always we can act with showing our faces. Can I add something? Yes, of course. First, we need the money, yes, and then second, speaking about specialists and all those who want to participate, and also time. Time is important because it takes a lot of time to develop the whole project. It is important to understand that this play, the one that we show in the video, might take minimum 1 month to develop from sharp, from the beginning. It might take 1 month. And secondly, those who work with the members of the organization must have the experience in different aspects or in different formats of the theater experience. They should understand what are the methodological aspects, and they need to understand with whom they are working, at where they are working, and being able to be sensitive to that. Yes, we have spoken about that. We have mentioned also time. Time, it's a very complicated element because we need to devote plenty of time. So all the people that are involved, all the members can take their own acting classes, and with Olcha we were able to gather 1 or 2 hours a day, but that was not enough. We needed a whole day where all the members can work from the beginning to the end. That would have been more productive. So by beginning, or well, by starting with that sense, you need to realize that it takes long within the theater for you to have a good results. You should avoid to have a result immediately. I mean, it will not be in 5 minutes or for the next day. It will take longer. Are there more questions? Dear participants, we're just waiting for your questions. We're ready to answer. Well, just to speak a little bit about theater, in that sense, we can include different activities. They have already mentioned that not always we can show the faces of the participants or the actors, because not always we can show publicly as a public event. Not always we can do it as a public event, but that doesn't has to limit your performance. It could be for some other different type of activities or videos. They are not limited to that. You can use different theatrical resources just to call the attention of more to these important topics. So dialogue can be created, and then to have more visibility also. So the topic that you are dealing with can be recognized. Also, together with all these activities, this is a very important resource. Thank you.
Уважаемые участники, у нас есть еще достаточно времени для того, чтобы ответить на ваши вопросы.
So, dear attendees, we still have more time for answering your questions.
Ну, раз ни у кого больше нет вопросов, еще раз большое всем спасибо за то, что...
It seems that there are no more questions, so thank you again. Thank you for participating within this session. Thank you for all your questions.
Подтолкнули к тому, что нам нужно еще что-то сделать, и мы это видим теперь.
Some of your questions had inspired us to work more. Let's see, we can do many more things. Thank you for your support and your help. With this, we can plan more in the future. So with that, we can close this session within the framework of HIV 2020. Thank you very much. Thank you, and see you next time. See you.